tuned into Life is a Sacred Journey. Every week, we bring a new perspective to aging and caregiving. Here is your host, Micheal Pope.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the virtual neighborhood of Life is a Sacred Journey. I am, Micheal Pope, dealing with allergies and all kinds of things, but healthy. And I am the host of Life is a Sacred Journey. Thank you to all of you in the virtual neighborhood of Life is a Sacred Journey for coming back every Friday morning at 8 a.m. I've missed you. It's been like 7-8 weeks since we've done a Pondering. So it's really, I'm really excited to be here with you. So as you know, we light our candle. To those of you that are new to Life is a Sacred Journey, again, thank you for joining us. We light a candle every Friday for those that are dealing with loss and grief and dealing with anything that causes pain and sorrow. So we light the candle of hope, that there is hope in everything that happens in our lives, and we can overcome all of those experiences that kind of bring us down on a day-to-day basis. It's good to be back with you. Again, this is Life is a Sacred Journey. Please hit the share button and get other people in. So come on in and get your coffee, your tea, your orange juice, your water. And it's so good to have this next kind of 30 minutes with you pondering the last kind of 8 weeks. Wow, a lot has gone on. So first of all, allow me to take you down memory lane. I want to thank these are all my BFFs from the last 8 weeks or so. Richard Wilmore, just his incredible story about being a storyteller for those that are living in facilities or congregate living, as well as illness, but also this wonderful organization that takes art and poetry and music to places, sending first responders gratitude notes, all of that. Richard Wilmore, my new friend, a storyteller. We went back, we did a flashback with my brother from another mother, Terry Tucker, and we hope that he is well. And as you know, he is a motivational speaker, but also that he is not for sympathy, but just to acknowledge that it takes courage to fight cancer and still be strong for your family and to still want to make a change in the community. And then, of course, our friend, our regular contributor to Life is a Sacred Journey, Carolyn Brent, and she just led the board retreat, for Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay, and it was great. It was phenomenal. And so I want to thank you, Dr. Carolyn Brent. Jill Osur, who came from the winery. Because of my experience with Jill Osur from Tenero Wineries, it's the dragonfly is their logo. And so I got this because it just reminded me of the wonderful conversation that we had. So that Jill from Tenero. Kathy Kamei, these beautiful, beautiful earrings, and the other pair that I have, thematic jewelry that's created to help you be inspired as you wear it, but also to inspire others when you purchase as a gift. And Kathy Kamei and I are dreaming up a wonderful retreat for women that hopefully we will be able to bring to you pretty soon. So that's just cool. And then we have Lynn Barrett. Oh, the powerful story of Lynn Barrett, where DID, where she has and lives with and thriving with multiple personalities, DID, where from a traumatic abuse as a child, beginning, I believe she said at the age of 3, and just how she has become a pastor and really contributing to the world and sharing her story, because it's a story that is shared by many, many, many people. And then, Nicole, the traveler of Nicole, the traveler, and how she was talking about traveling. And I am getting ready to talk to her about my preparations to Belgium. And so it's just really cool to have met her. We have Nadia Kashouh, who has exercise and health things, not having to do with making you look like anybody in a magazine, but helping you to be your best self. We had Dr. Jugessur from the Art of Living Foundation in Canada also, who came with some very motivational thoughts and affirmations and ideas. And I've gone to the Art of Living Foundation website, and they have some great tools there. So I invite you to do so. All these wonderful, wonderful people who we share the planet with and who have shared their stories and their connections to their organizations or to the life that they have chosen to live, and how they're doing it and giving back by being examples. Not perfect, because none of us are, but just really trying to be the best that they can be and kind of change the trajectory of the world. So thank you to all of you who are contributors to Life is a Sacred Journey. And if there's any expats out there, we're really looking to expand our story there and want to share some of the success stories, and as well as some of the things that people need to think about. So if you are connected to an expat organization, or you are an expat and would love to come and share your story on Life is a Sacred Journey, please go to our page and get in contact with us, and Felicia would be glad to get back to you pretty soon. So thank you so much to all of those contributors, and thank you to all of you out there at Life is a Sacred Journey. You make the world a better place for me, and hit the share button and share it with as many people as you can, because that helps us to get the message out, as well as helps us to quite honestly raise money for Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay. So please reach out, share it, and let's get started. So what have I been doing? I've been in a lot of meetings and out and about, just, working about sending information about the budget, the state budget, asking people to get in contact with Governor Newsom about the bridge funds that were available so that we could cover adult day health care. Just a quick little note so that you know, adult day health care is a respite healthcare model. So we provide respite care, but we also provide medical care and transportation, and we are also case managing and helping people access services throughout the community. And the license is almost $10,000 a year to do that. It's about $3 million a year if you're fully staffed, to provide a halfway decent salary with benefits, which we do, and the reimbursement. Again, this is not dinging at anybody. This is just places where we need to do better. The reimbursement is like $76 a day for nursing, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech if we have to bring a speech consult in, psych consult if you have to bring a psych consult in, dietitian, we have a physician, a pharmacist, and then a 16-to-1 paid staff ratio of individuals that are trained as CNAs or in-home health aides. And so, it's a really expensive day. It's about almost $200 a day if you now add in transportation and the increase in gas, and the $76 reimbursement has not, I think it's been since like 2008 that we got a tiny little bump, and it was so tiny, So I just think those are things that we as aging citizens in the state of California need to be engaged and involved in. And wherever you are in the Life is a Sacred Journey community, know that where you live, there are people aging. Know that you yourself are aging, or someone you love. Get involved in the advocacy that is going on in your community around services for those that are aging. Make sure the aging services are getting a good fair share of the tax dollars that go into your state through your area agency on aging, or through tax models, or whatever it may be. Get involved, because without your voice, then it's just the service providers. And I've had people say to me, well, you're just wanting more money so you can make more money. Well, No, that's not true. With full disclosure, I've been here since 2008 without a raise. So if that were the case, I would have left ASAP a long time ago. So those are the kinds of things that we need support and help with. Caregivers are tired and they need this respite, but they also, about 70-something% of our caregivers are essential workers, as well as need a place so that they can go to work every day. And they have decided that their loved one should live at home with them. And so how do we help them to do that and become age-friendly communities, and that we eradicate the ageism paradigms and philosophies and systems that prevent services like not just ASAB, but all services of community-based across our state and across the continent and across the world? How do we ensure those individuals are cared for in a way that is professional and has quality? So I've been pondering that. I've also been pondering, the time that we are living in, a time where communication seems to be a little bit more difficult than it was prior to the pandemic, even though we've probably done a lot of it through Zoom and that. I think we've gotten tired a little bit. There's also was a residual of grief and things. And now we're revisiting that on the news as we hear about what happened in Washington, D.C. and the taking of the White House. And so we're revisiting that. We're hearing that again. We know that gun violence is a part of our communities, which we've always known that gun violence is a part of our communities. But at the end of the day, now we're feeling it in a more visceral way when we see that racism is the catalyst for what happened in upstate New York, and we also don't understand the mental health issues that allow a young person to go into an elementary school and kill little children. We just don't understand, what all of that is about. And then there's that sense of victimization that when a person feels that they can no longer hear the truth, they can no longer see the truth. And how do we move in those spaces where a person, may be fragile and your truth or your ability to want to speak the truth is thwarted by that fragility. So there's a lot going on. And so I've been pondering all those things. And I found, I have a lot of things that I've been blessed that some of you have given to me, or when I've had time, which I hope I will be doing this weekend, just roaming through cities, little tiny towns. I love them because they have specialty shops and places that you can go and buy things that you never would have thought. And I found this, I don't know when I found it. It's been hanging in my office for a while, and it's titled The Paradox of Our Age. And I found it interesting. It's in a spot that I don't see it every day, but I was here late working one night last week, and I just happened to be cleaning up my office, I'm always moving stuff around and changing things and trying to clean up and trying to get ready for the new fiscal year, which begins July 1. And I saw this and I thought, oh my gosh, this is all the stuff that I've been pondering. So I'm going to read it. So bear with me as I look up and down, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. And then I have some other things to share before we close. So the paradox of our age, and this is from His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. We have bigger houses, but smaller families, more conveniences, but less time. We have more degrees, but less sense, more knowledge, but less judgment, more experts, but more problems, more medicines, but less healthiness. We've been all the way to the moon and back, but have trouble crossing the street to meet the new neighbor. We built more computers to hold more information, to produce more copies than ever, but have less communication. Back to when I was talking. We have become long on quantity, but short on quality. There are times of fast foods, but slow digestion. Tall man, but shorter character. Steep profits, but shallow relationships. It's a time when there is much in the window, but nothing in the room. Wow. It's a time when there is much in the window, but nothing in the room. So we're looking out and reflecting into a future that we're staying in that space, I think is what Our Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama was saying, is that you keep looking out, looking out, looking out, and not inward into the room. If you want to use your body and your spirit as the room and the window, I think he's saying, you know, the more we look through the window and have desires for other things, the less time we have to spend looking inside of ourselves. And then we become people who feel victimized, are victimized, and then have no ability to see beyond their victimization. So all of that has a lot to do with communication. It has a lot to do with how we, as I say, crash into each other. And it's stuff that I've been pondering. I'm in deep thought this week and actually the whole month of June, because next week on the 29th, it will be the 1-year anniversary of my brother's passing. And at that time, there will be a celebration of life for him because we weren't able to do it last year. And I've been pondering that, you know, how we get to, those of us that get to live through the deaths of our parents and the people who love us, and we get to live on for another day, what it means to give honor to a life of somebody that you love, or an animal that you grieve, or, you know, just stuff. So I've been pondering a lot of things. And lastly, I've been pondering the concept of what love really looks like in every situation. And I remember, I think most importantly, being a parent, and how there were times that my children had to think I didn't love them because of the level of discipline that one had to take in order to make sure that they were safe, or that they were learning life lessons that would make them good citizens as they grew into adulthood. And how hard it must have been, because I remember it too, when my parents were intervening in my independence and what I thought I knew was right, when in fact I knew nothing. And I still don't, still pondering that. But how that looks and how that makes a person feel. And it goes back to, you know, I don't know if I've said this to you because I've done so much public speaking and preaching, but there's a bubble that you walk around with that it's like the conversation bubble. And even though you're visibly and you're actually in your head having this dialogue and conversation, other people don't see it or know it. And so when you are in their company, they're only seeing what you provide or what you bring forth, when in fact, there's so much going on. There's so many facets. We're like diamonds. And then when you take a diamond and you have that little thing, or if it's a big diamond, you can look at it and you can see all the little prisms and facets of the diamond. And we are that, you know, there's so many things, you know, and so that's why being a person that's forgiving, I have to admit, it's sometimes hard to forgive. I'm in a situation right now where I'm forgiving, but I can't, the pain of it is very visceral and very forefront, but it doesn't mean anything in the true sense of anything. It's like, it's a moment in time and space. And how does one move on, and how does one lick their wounds and move forward? And I was looking at that because to live stronger and to live longer and to embrace aging in a way that envelopes you in a place where you aren't being selfish or egotistical, but that you are really taking the time to embrace that possibility in a way that you're taking care of mind, body, and spirit. You know, all these, the authors of books, Dr. Carolyn, Brent, Meg Logan, all these great authors, all these books that Life is a Sacred Journey, we've brought to you, you know, whether it's a caregiving book or a self-help book or whatever. They're all really key. The key thing, they all say it differently because it's coming from a different heart and a different voice. But what they're saying is one must start with oneself. And we are a society of finger pointers. We keep pointing fingers at other people. You know, in this situation that I'm engaged in right now, I have to look inside of me first before I have the audacity, and I'm going to say it that way, to even think that I can judge another person or move from the situation without looking at my culpability and forgiving myself, one, and asking for forgiveness if that is appropriate. So to live in a world where our politics and everything that we do is about pointing finger and holding other people responsible. You know, there's some things that I think back in my childhood that I wish my mom and dad had done differently. But they didn't. And I'm still here and I'm thankful to them for that. And so I think those are the kinds of things that we have to, those are the kind of hurdles that we have to overcome in order to age well and to live our best life, no matter what age we are. So those are the things that I've been pondering. You can tell, I think, that it's been not heavy. It's not heavy. It's not sad stuff. I just think, you know, sometimes you have to stop and think about the life you've been given and what an honor it is, and be grateful for it. Even the stuff that makes you kind of like, you know, knocks you off your feet, or you go, oh, you know, we call them the young adults and the young people of the United Methodist Church that we work with, and Pastor Cow says wows and pows. And so a wow is a thing that just, you know, makes your heart just jump for joy, and joy, not happiness, joy. Happiness, remember we talked about happiness at the beginning of the year, this is happiness, drinking this cup of coffee every morning. But joy is the fact that I wake up every morning and it has a high level of gratitude in it. You know, I'm only grateful for that cup of coffee as long as I'm drinking it and I feel the wonderful effects of the coffee. Let's be for real. But joy is the thing where, wow, it's a wow. So wows. And then the pows are the things that take you down to your knees sometimes, or just knock you off your feet, or take your air out, or make you question, or, you know, those are the pows. So, you know, what are your wows and pows today? So you learned something new. So if you want to write in the chat, I know there's some of you out there, share your wow and your pow. Everybody should have one for every day. I hope you have fewer pows. Fewer pows than you have wows, but write it in the chat. Share with your Life is a Sacred Journey family. What's your wow? And what is, if you have a pow, what's your pow? So that we can, you know, be in solidarity or be in prayer, or whatever your way of communicating with another person and honoring where they are in their lives. So to live longer and get stronger, I thank you, Dr. Carolyn Brent. Thank you, AARP. Thank you, Stephen Perrine. Thank you, all these authors that have made up this little list that I'm going to go over with for you, how to live longer. The big thing is that they're talking about brain health, and stating that some sort of brain exercise of some sort is so important. You know, we've had this conversation with people that have come on Life is a Sacred Journey. We've talked about this before, but one of the things that I've been doing, and which I believe is really helping, they're talking about resistance exercise. So I have one of those Pilates bars that I use, and they have the resistance bands on them. And they're saying that resistance exercise for people 50 and older really helps with brain health, with muscle mass, all of those kinds of things. And I think I paid like $40 for this thing. I've had to get different bands, but what I love about it is it has the foot thingies at the bottom. Here I go again, foot thingies, and you put your feet in it, and then the bar comes up, and it has the resistance bands on it and different levels of resistance bands. And for me, I'm trying to not get, because I'm in this computer all the time. I'm here. And so it's to lift up and bring up and over so I can stretch this stuff in the back so I don't get that lean and that bump. So I love that. And I can feel it. I can actually feel it as I'm doing it, as well as the wings that I seem to have over the last 2 years taken flight. And then I still do my little weights, not as well as I should, but I have the 5-pound ones, and I try to at least do 100 in the morning, and I'm trying to do 100 in the evening, but that doesn't always happen because I don't always get home at a time to do that. Sometimes I just get home in enough time to sit with Daisy for a while and then go to sleep. It's just been that way. So just like this morning, I got up at 3:15. I mean, go figure. But when I have a lot on my mind, I tend to fall asleep and then wake up and then can't go back to sleep. So that's what happened this morning. So resistance and maintaining muscle is extremely important. You can always see that Carolyn Brent maintains muscle. Of course, she was a bodybuilder and all of those kinds of things. But now that she's not competing, she's doing long walks on the beach. She does her muscle training and her resistance training. And you can do that in 30 minutes. You can do that in 60 minutes if you have it. But 30 minutes of it is going to make your brain feel really good, and your body is going to look good as well as you're going to feel good. And don't do it till it hurts. Just do it so that you feel it, so that you know that your muscles are just feeling a little bit of pull. You don't want to do anything that hurts. And then always check with your physician and let them know what you're doing as well. The other is to reduce your risk of any future weight gain. So if you are 50 and over, they are saying that for every 20 years, a lot of times people will put on that many pounds. So you can imagine if at 50, if you were at 150, that by the time you're 70, you're going to be at 170 pounds. And if that is, they said on average, it's 22 pounds over 20 years. So that's even more than that, but just assume that's it. Well, what happens during that period of time, that weight gain is affecting your probability for a diabetes diagnosis, high blood pressure, heart disease. Your joints are definitely going to start to hurt, particularly your knees. And I'm finding back pain is, for me, I found when I lost that 50 pounds that I didn't even realize that I had weighed that much, because I have clothes that range like 3 sizes. So I just moved to another set of clothes. And now I realize no. And by doing that, lowered blood pressure, able to get to a point where the medication is almost going to be taken away. We're studying that now over the summer to see if there's consistency, but it's down to normal. All of those things. And really looking at your total health and well-being, and not waiting for your body to cry out saying, I need you to focus, but that you already are taking those steps ahead of time. Okay. Blood pressure control, we just talked about that, and the resistance and weight training. Again, only 30 minutes, they said, can help with hypertension, and it's actually even better for men. Men did better in the study than women. So using the resistance bands, slashing your risk of heart disease, again, diabetes, and cancer. And this was something that was an add-on that I was like, wow, wow, wow. So it said the study did 3,241 women, median age 54, with stage 2 or 3 invasive breast cancer. And they found that they actually, even after radical surgery, that those individuals did heal better, as well as their reoccurrence was less. So again, that little bit of resistance exercise. And lastly, it says you'll stay happier. It says a study of 3,000 adults age 54 to 89 found that having a strong grip was inversely associated with symptoms of depression. Strong, healthy, and happy. If that sounds like the future you imagine for yourself, it's time to make your muscles a top priority. Make sure you're getting 25 to 30 grams of protein at every meal, and talk to your doctor about starting a muscle building fitness program. The book that this came from was Whole Body Reset. Remember, I talked about fasting. I fast, and that's my way of doing a reset. There's intermittent fasting, which really helps you to reset on a day-to-day basis instead of, waiting. But I also do the 40-day fast, like I'm getting ready to do that now. Whenever I feel like a kind of a spiritual attack, or I feel like I'm not right in my spirit, I also fast so that I can do some focused thinking and meditation. So I want to talk a little bit before we run out of time about the COVID stuff that's going on. So I have now been exposed to COVID 3 times. I found out one of them was at a conference that I was leading, or I should call it retreat that I was leading. The other was at another gathering that I went to, and they were, all 3 of them were gatherings. Actually, let me just cut to the chase. And was exposed to COVID at all 3 of those. And what I found was 6 foot distancing. Didn't do that all the way with everybody, but I wore a mask, and I wore the K95 mask with it has a filter thing on the side to help filter the air in and out. And I found that was easier for me because the days were at some of the locations was very hot. And with my asthma, the ability to breathe with a mask on was really hard. And when I did take the mask off, I was on a stage where I was more than 6 feet away from anybody, and I was at the mic. Anytime I moved closer to them, I put on a mask. I have been testing every day since the last one, no COVID conversion. And so I went to look to see what the rule of thumb is. So the rule of thumb is if you are exposed to COVID, if you are going to convert, it's 5 to 7 days. And so once you are notified that you've been exposed, your best option is to now test every day for about 5 to 7 days. 5 days is what CDC said when I last looked, but every Friday or Thursday night, Friday, they changed that. And then wear a mask. Now, if you have fever symptoms, headache, and those kinds of symptoms that are also COVID symptoms, they say you should actually begin to wear a mask right away if you're not wearing one. And you should also test for 5 to 7 days because you don't know whether it is an allergy or something else. It actually could be COVID. So those are some of the safety precautions that now that the mask mandate has been lifted almost everywhere, that people are saying, or CDC and the World Health Organization, because that's where I go, are saying that are helpful. And then I'm an example of being in group settings, 600 people to 250 the other, and the other was smaller. It was like 25, 30 people, but still exposed. And the reality is you can, but again, if the person is diagnosed with it and you've been with them unmasked and not doing the 6 foot distancing, social distancing, your probability of getting or having a COVID diagnosis between that 5 and 7 days is probably pretty high, because I'm noticing it is about physical proximity and it is about actual transmission. And so be careful, the vaccination for the little people, is getting approved, being approved, or is approved. I didn't look it up. And so little young folks will be able to be vaccinated based on what their parents have decided is right for them. And, I think we'll be wearing masks for quite some time. As I said, when I plan to travel, that's why I'm testing all these different masks to see which one I can breathe with the longest, because I think it's like a 12-hour flight or something like that. So I'm trying to make sure that I can keep it on. I think it's important to my health, and I will get another booster actually pretty soon here in July, and we will go from there. So you have to do what is good for you, but also know that if you're going to be a part of what I call the community square, you're going to be out in the public. Your health affects the health of everybody else. And so putting on a mask is just one of the most gracious things that you can do for a stranger, for a humanity. So the other thing that I saw was that, yes, the cases are spiking again, and they are seeing them spiking with a 7-day average of illness. So that means people are feeling sick for an average of 7 days when they have COVID, and testing. Some folks, they're finding they're testing longer. They may feel better after the 7th day or the 5th day, but they're still testing positive for COVID. So just think about all those things and where you are in the spectrum of your own safety. And know that whatever you do that protects you will protect the citizens around you. And I'm sure they'll be very thankful. So again, I've been thinking a lot about inner joy and hope and what the future has to hold and what's the horizon of the next days to come. And I found a couple of poems about joy that I'm going to share with you. Emily Dickinson happens to be somebody who I really like, and her poetry. And so the first poem that I'm going to close with and is from Emily Dickinson. "'Tis so much joy, tea is so much joy. If I should fail, what poverty? And yet, as poor as I have ventured upon a throw, have gained, yes, hesitated, so this side the victory. True inner joy is self-created. It does not depend on outer circumstances. A river is flowing in and through you, carrying the message of joy. The divine joy is the sole purpose of life. Let us live in joy, not hating those who hate us. Among those who hate us, we live free of hate. Let us live in joy, free from disease among those who are diseased. Among those who are diseased, let us live free of disease. Let us live in joy, free from greed among the greedy. Among those who are greedy, we live free of greed. Let us live in joy, though we possess nothing. Let us live feeding on joy, like the bright gods. And that's from the Lord Buddha. So joy, 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 joy. Have a wonderful, joyful weekend. And, I know this has been a little bit of a passive pondering, because I have felt a little passive, a little introverted. not extroverted today, but I'm still here and you're still here, and we've made it through some hard times, you know, and just take a moment right now, right wherever you are, just to realize that you've made it through a pretty heavy duty couple of years. No matter what your life experiences were before this pandemic, the one thing that you can be assured that the whole humanity has been affected by it. We've been affected by racism. We've been affected by homophobia. We've been affected by war. We've been affected by violence. Take a moment to know that no matter who you are and no matter where you reside, you've been affected, infected by all of it. And you have to take a minute just to breathe. So take a moment, take a deep breath, and know that we're all going to get through this, and we really will. You know, not all of us will make it. You know, it's just like, I was thinking about that the other day. It's like tomorrow's not promised, so not everybody gets to make it to the next day. But if you do, then it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to choose joy, to choose gratitude, and to choose to be the change you want to see in this world. I always end Life is a Sacred Journey by sharing to all of you out there that are going through any form of depression and mental health challenges. The suicide hotline is there for you 24/7. Trained people will be on the other end. The phone number, 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255. You can text that line and chat with somebody. They will find resources for you wherever you are. See, I think this is the United States, 1-800-273-8255. I think you can call them whether you're in New York or whether you're wherever you are. That's the suicide hotline number. And they will help you to make it through that moment where you think that it's not worth it. And know that the strongest of us also. So when you're looking at other people going, I wish I could be as strong as this person or that person, know that that person has had their struggles. Know that that person probably has felt depression and anxiety just like you. Just like you. So 1-800-273-8255. So have a great weekend, everybody. Go out and hug that tree. Tell it a story. I'm definitely going out into the forest this weekend somewhere. I got to find a new one, I think. A new one. I think I'll find a new one. So have a good weekend. Be safe. Wear a mask. Keep using your hand sanitizer. Keep washing your hands and keep testing. I know it's getting expensive, but keep testing and give yourself a hug and have a great weekend. And thank you. Thank you always for coming to Life is a Sacred Journey. We wouldn't be here unless you showed up. Peace.